Okay, friends, sorry about that. My iPad said my storage was full and it totally stopped videoing on me. So I'm going to pick back up with where we were. Okay, so this will be the second part of chapter 3. The assistant knocked on the door to the office. "Come in," they heard Muhammad Carrot call. Maya opened the door and he stood up from behind his desk. He walked toward them with his arms outstretched. "I'm so glad to see you," he cried. And he lowered his voice and he whispered, "Another diamond disappeared yesterday. That's the 6th one. I can't understand how they do it. I need your help more than ever." Jerry noticed the elderly woman lingering in the doorway. She seemed to be listening curiously. "You may go back to the front, Vivian," said Muhammad Carrot, shutting the door behind her. "Let's get started," said Jerry as they settled down on a big brown sofa. "Could you tell us about the people who work here and what a typical day in the store is like?" Muhammad Carrot took out his handkerchief and blew his nose loudly. He walked to his desk, opened one of the drawers, and took out a few photos. "The store opens at 10 and closes at 6. At some point during that time, a diamond disappears. The whole thing is impossible to explain. I'm going mad," he yelled. Mr. Carrot, please try to calm down," said Maya. "Oh, excuse me," said Mr. Carrot as he collected himself. "Other than myself, there are 3 people who work here. So I think this is Vivian." So I love these pictures in this story. Mr. Carrot passed one of the photos to Jerry and Maya. Vivian Leander, store assistant. You've already met her. She's the one who showed you to my office. Vivian works in the front of the store and helps the customers. She's been with the business for many years and has always done an excellent job. But she ran into some trouble last year. Her house burned down, and I believe the insurance company is refusing to pay her any money," explained Mr. Carrot. "Apparently, Vivian was behind on home insurance payments, so now she's short on cash. Just last week, she came into my office and asked for a raise. I would be happy to help her, but as I'm sure you can understand, there's no way I can afford a raise now." Jerry scratched his nose with his pen and made a note in his notebook. What do you think he's writing in his notebook? Suspect's motive. Vivian Leander needs money. Mr. Carrot passed them another photo. So this is their first suspect, Vivian. And think about what they said. Why is she a suspect? And that's because her house burned down and she doesn't have any money. So she needs some money. So she is suspicious. So, picture number 2. We'll find out who this is. "Danny Braveheart works on the 2nd floor just above the store," he continued. "He cleans and polishes the jewelry before it's sold. And to be honest, Danny is a bit grumpy for my taste, but he's always on time and he keeps things in order. He is a trustworthy employee." "Danny's dad actually owned this store years and years ago," Mr. Carrot went on, "but he had financial problems and had to sell it. That's when I bought the store. Otherwise, Danny would be the boss here today." Jerry didn't have to scratch his nose this time. He simply wrote, "Suspect's motive," which means the suspect is who he thinks might could do it, and the motive is like why he might have done it. Danny Braveheart wants to take over the store. So there's Danny Braveheart at his desk. He's a little bit messy. He's got some stuff lying around. Mr. Carrot passed Jerry and Maya the third and final photo. Luke Smith works on the top floor of the building. He cuts diamonds and sets them into elegant rings and necklaces. Luke hasn't worked here very long, but he's careful and he's very good at his job. He worked in the jewelry business for many years, and his previous employers were very pleased with him. Luke likes nice clothes and fast sports cars. He bought a new car just last week, actually. Mr. Carrot laughed. You should have seen Danny Braveheart's face when Luke showed off his new car. Danny looked at the car with disgust and then Luke with loathing. 380 horsepower, Luke had bragged and patted the hood, to which Danny had replied, you only need 1 horsepower if you choose the right one. And then he stormed off. None of us, Vivian, Luke, nor I, understood what he meant, continued Mr. Carrot. Danny was definitely in one of his grumpy moods. But like I said, Luke Smith is a nice guy. He's into fitness. He's always going for a job and carrying around an apple to snack on. Jerry wrote in his notebook, Luke Smith has plenty of money. But where does it come from? So there's Luke Smith and there's his writing. All right then, I think that's all you need to know, said Mohammed Carrot as he sprang up from the sofa. Now I'll introduce you to the staff. Here's a picture. And that is where we're going to stop today. That's the end of chapter 3 of The Diamond Mystery.